Think of yourself in an enclosed, dark underwater cave where the only light source is the beam from the helmet that you're wearing. Every breath echoes in the silence, every moment a calculated risk. What would you do if faced with the unexpected, navigating through unknown passages, alone in the depths? Well, today we'll dive into the stories of challenge and exploration that'll leave you asking, how far would you go to survive? This is Fatal Tragedies, with the story of the cave that killed 28 divers. In the heart of the serene and beautiful Ginnie Springs lies a gateway to hell leading to an expansive underwater cavern. Known as one of the world's top freshwater diving spots, Ginnie Springs offers a variety of thrilling diving experiences. Whether you're into shallow springs and river dives, or exploring amazing caverns and caves, there's something here for every diver, no matter their skill level. Spread over 200 acres, this campground and diving center has everything you need, including a dive shop, air compressor, and rental gear. Thanks to the high flow from 7 springs on the property, the water is incredibly clear, with visibility up to 200 feet all year round. The large basin at Ginnie Springs is perfect for swimming, snorkeling, and open water diving, with visibility often described as air clear. The spring basin reaches a maximum depth of 20 feet and discharges about 20 million gallons of crystal clear water each day. The water flows into the Santa Fe River, giving divers unique access to a sometimes clear river. For experienced divers, Ginnie Springs features a spacious and relatively safe cavern called the Ballroom, which has a maximum depth of 50 feet. The cavern includes a permanent guideline and is graded off to prevent any significant cave penetration. The Devil's Spring system at Ginnie Springs is a mesmerizing trio of caves: Little Devil's, Devil's Eye, and Devil's Ear. Together, these springs create a 300-foot-long, 20-foot-wide run, pouring around 40 million gallons of water daily into the Santa Fe River. This area is perfect for shallow open water diving, offering a serene yet thrilling experience. However, there's a strict rule. Divers without cavern or cave training can't bring underwater lights into the Devil's area. This no lights rule ensures that inexperienced divers don't venture into the dark overhead regions where they could easily get lost. The Devil's Ear Cave System is a world-renowned cave diving site, attracting thousands of visitors each year. It's a must-visit for most cave divers in Florida, boasting large tunnels, crystal clear water, and an incredible variety of sights. From budding cavern explorers to advanced cave divers, everyone finds a challenge and a thrill in the Devil's Spring system. This enchanting underwater world beckons divers to explore its depths and discover its secrets. The main passage in Devil's Ear Cave is often as large as a semi-truck, winding through thousands of feet of crystal clear water before becoming too narrow for divers about 4,500 feet from the surface. Numerous fascinating passages branch off from the main conduit, providing divers of all experience levels with an exciting and challenging environment. While there are hundreds of areas to explore within the Devil's Ear Cave system, the primary paths are the most popular: the main line, the right line, Hill 400, the double lines, and the mainland. The main line in Devil's Ear starts about 100 feet from the entrance, just beyond the sunlit cavern zone. Near the entrance, the main conduit is approximately 20 feet tall and 20 feet wide, but it changes in size as it extends upstream. About 100 feet in, divers encounter a popular bedding plane formation known as the Lips, where the cave narrows to just a few feet tall and several feet wide. However, it quickly opens up again into a more spacious and impressive cave, inviting divers to continue their exploration into its captivating depths. Continuing another 50 feet along the passage, divers encounter the keyhole restriction, which leads to a briefly tight area known as the cornflakes. After passing through the cornflakes, divers arrive in the somewhat larger junction room. From here, divers can either continue on the main line or divert to the right line. The right line requires a jump spool and should only be attempted by experienced, fully cave-certified divers. Before exploring any of the many side passages branching from the main line, divers should first gain experience in the expansive and beautiful main passage. The main conduit stretches for a total of 3,200 feet before narrowing at the Hinkle restriction, then continues for another 1,000 feet in smaller passages where scooters are not permitted. The allure of this popular area should not tempt unqualified divers to exceed their limits. Many lives have been lost in reckless, unqualified attempts to explore beyond their training. Speaking of lives being lost, Ginnie Springs has seen its share of tragedies. Over the years, 28 divers have died here. Now they've made the same fatal mistake, getting lost within the labyrinthine system of tunnels, radiating from the spring and running out of air. Our first victim is Carlos Fonseca. On Thursday, August 8, 2013, Carlos was diving in the Devil's Eye cave system, part of Ginnie Springs in Florida. He had been diving for about 4 years and was fully cave-trained, Trimix certified, and side-mount cave-trained. He was also a Wakula Award recipient for having conducted many safe cave dives. Carlos was preparing an aluminum 80 cubic foot tank that was permanently and clearly marked with oxygen and stated the maximum operating depth of 20 feet. His teammates noticed that Carlos was about to use this oxygen bottle at a depth greater than its safe limit and questioned him about it. The bottle was intended to be used only down to a maximum operating depth of 20 feet. Now Carlos reassured his teammates, explaining that he had a full mix station at home and had filled the bottles himself, confirming that the bottle was actually filled with air. Diving air is usually just compressed air, consisting of roughly 20% oxygen and 80% nitrogen. Now I know what you're thinking. Why not just make it 100% oxygen since it's the gas used for breathing? In context, 100% oxygen is unsuitable for diving because it quickly becomes toxic at greater depths due to higher ambient pressures, posing a severe danger for deeper dives. Now, despite the team's repeated concerns about the bottle, Carlos insisted that he would be fine. His dive computer was set for air, and no one had seen him analyze the tank that morning. As the team prepared for the dive, they discussed their plan, reviewing the map and made contingency and emergency plans, including turning the dive if necessary. Carlos suggested they avoid making any visual jumps during the cave, which involves crossing a gap between the main permanent guide line and a branched line without using a gap spool. With their plan set, the team entered the Devil Spring cave system through the Eye and the Santa Fe River. They ventured upstream about 400 feet, reaching roughly a third of the way between the park bench and Hill 400, when tragedy struck. Located about 400 feet from the entrance, the Hill 400 line branches off to the left of the main conduit and is only for full cave-certified divers due to its complexity. The tunnel is usually spacious, about 10 feet by 10 feet, but has many narrow, silty side passages. Among these, the double lines are the most well-known, featuring a maze of smaller passages through limestone formations. The tunnels narrow significantly, requiring exceptional buoyancy control and refined skills. However, divers undertaking such dives must meticulously gather all necessary information and fully comprehend the potential hazards of extended and intricate penetrations. But it seemed that Carlos had not put all of this in mind before going into Hill 400, and this is where the problem began. Carlos began having a seizure and then lost consciousness. The partial pressure of oxygen was about 3.6 at a depth of 85 feet, causing Carlos to suffer from oxygen toxicity. His dive mates quickly decided to bring him to the exit through the ear, opting for a wide passageway known as the gallery. This route involved passing one restriction, but offered a more direct and easier path out than returning through the eye. During the challenging 20-minute exit, his teammates closely monitored Carlos, ensuring his nose was pinched, his regulator was in his mouth, and checking if he was breathing. Carlos began breathing at 2 points on the way out of the cave and again at the surface, likely due to cardiac arrest. As the group surfaced and shouted for help, other divers, including cave instructors, assisted in getting Carlos to the shore. They immediately commenced CPR, and Carlos was transported alive to the hospital, where he later succumbed to the effects and passed away. A cave instructor who participated in the rescue later analyzed Carlos' tanks in the presence of the Sheriff's Department members. The single-stage bottle was found to contain 98% oxygen. The partial pressure of oxygen was about 3.5 at the point of seizure, at a depth of 85 feet, causing oxygen toxicity, which was the primary cause of Carlos's death. Now, people die every day by the thousands, from natural causes and accidents alike. Unless a death happens in our families or we're confronted with it directly, we barely notice. Even the gruesome scenes that we see on television and read about in the newspapers don't really affect us. It feels like these things only happen to other people, not to us. But every once in a while, a death does affect us. It might be the passing of a celebrity like Princess Diana or Steve Irwin the crocodile hunter. Sometimes, death resonates with us simply because we can somehow relate through a personal connection. This was the case during the tragic death of diver Mark Fyvie. Zurich Divers, a foundation which he started and ran, was Mark's diving home base. He even had his own personal website, and despite being based in Zurich, Mark's website was impeccably in English, reflecting his fluency in the language. His journey began in 1993, and by 2000 he'd become a certified diving instructor. With nearly 1,000 dives under his belt, Mark held an impressive array of certifications: PADI, DC Staff Instructor, Emergency First Response Instructor Trainer, DSAT Tech, Trimix Instructor, DSAT Gas Blender Instructor, and IAN TD Technical Cave Instructor. He was also skilled in closed-circuit rebreather cave diving, Trimix diving, and cave scootering, and specifically trained on the Megalodon rebreather. Mark was far from a novice or amateur. His diving exploits read like a travelogue spanning the globe. He immersed himself in cave diving adventures across diverse locations, often spending weeks exploring intricate cave systems. From the depths of remote underwater caves to challenging technical dives, Mark's diving highlights painted a picture of a seasoned explorer driven by a passion for the underwater world's mysteries and challenges. His diving adventures were nothing short of extraordinary. During a 2-week dive trip to the Ginnie Springs area, he and his team penetrated an impressive 3,800 feet, surpassing the challenging Hinkle restriction. In April of 2007, Mark underwent intensive training on the Megalodon rebreather with Jill Heinert of rebreatherpro.com, a renowned figure in the diving community. Jill praised him not only for his diving prowess, but also for his character. On his website, he displayed a deep understanding of the complexities of rebreathers. He emphasized that while they offered significant advantages, including extended dive times and reduced gas consumption, they also posed inherent risks. In November of 2007, Mark embarked on an extensive month-long cave diving expedition across the Americas with his Megalodon rebreather. This journey earned him certifications in CCR Cave and CCR Trimix, pushing his limits to depths of 272 feet in Eagle's Nest. Reflecting on the experience, Mark expressed newfound appreciation. "Now I realize what closed-circuit rebreathers are for. It's totally changed the way I can dive caves." Despite the transformative benefits, he candidly shared the challenges of finding suitable dive partners for such demanding explorations, often undertaking dives alone. Sadly, in the midst of his adventures, Mark found love and was preparing for a significant chapter in his life: his wedding. He proposed to his sweetheart, and they eagerly planned their marriage, scheduled for September 6, 2008, in Venice. Mark meticulously detailed every aspect of their upcoming celebration, filled with hope and anticipation for their future together. Tragically, Mark's promising life was cut short, leaving behind a reminder of the fragility of existence. So what exactly happened? On March 10, 2008, Mark, then 36 years old, decided to visit Ginnie Springs to test an experimental rebreather. Just the previous year, he had explored the cave system and discovered a new lead, showcasing his adventurous spirit and deep passion for diving. Mark was known as an exceptionally intelligent and meticulous diver, renowned for his careful planning and calculated approach to every expedition. Despite his thorough preparations, Mark embarked on a solo dive around noon. Equipped with a rebreather capable of sustaining him for up to 10 hours, he ventured into the depths of Ginnie Springs. But then concerns grew when Mark didn't return by 9 p.m. Corey, another diver, took action and went in search of him, highlighting the close-knit community and solidarity among divers in times of need. Following Mark's path, Corey ventured deeper into the cave and tragically found him unconscious 3,800 feet in. With a heavy heart, Corey swiftly returned to the surface and rushed to report the grim discovery to the authorities. As the news spread among fellow divers and rescue teams, a sense of urgency mixed with deep concern permeated the air. However, as night fell and safety concerns mounted for the recovery crew, Mark's lifeless body remained unreachable in the dark depths. The agonizing wait until the following day compounded the sorrow felt by all. Mark's death at Ginnie Springs, tragically occurring due to drowning, was swiftly attributed to his failure to adhere to a cardinal rule of diving: always bring a buddy. The assumption at Ginnie Springs, like at many dive sites, was that as long as divers were paired with a buddy, safety could be assured. This sobering realization underscored the critical importance of following established safety protocols in the inherently risky sport of cave diving. Mark's passing served as a reminder of the consequences when precautions are overlooked, leaving a void in the diving community and a lasting impact on those who knew him. However, we can't assume that all deaths are caused by always going on a solo dive. For Ginnie Springs, it doesn't matter if you're paired with a buddy or not. Our next diver, Shannon Lewis, is proof of this. On June 14, 2008, Shannon Lewis, a 20-year-old student, embarked on a cave diving expedition at Ginnie Springs with two friends, both seasoned divers themselves. Amidst the serene waters, Shannon encountered a troubling challenge. Her equilibrium faltered underwater, disrupting her ability to maintain a steady ascent and descent. Shannon, a talented young writer, transitioned into performance art alongside her mother Sheila, a music professor, as they immersed themselves into the vibrant Austin poetry slam scene. Their encounters with slam master Ron Horn sparked the creation of the Texas Youth Word Collective, igniting Shannon's journey as a captivating performer. Her poetry resonated powerfully at the prestigious Brave New Voices Youth Poetry Slam Festival, where her magnetic presence left audiences spellbound. Her performances were immortalized in Carl Brown's documentary Second Verse, capturing glimpses of her raw talent and emotive delivery. She further showcased her poetic prowess at the renowned stage of Russell Simmons' HBO series Def Poetry Jam during its impactful sixth season. Notably, Shannon achieved third place among individual competitors at the National Poetry Slam, a testament to her skill and artistry. At the time of her accident, Shannon was pursuing her college education in Atlanta, poised to continue weaving her lyrical voice into the fabric of contemporary poetry. On the morning of June 14th, the tranquil waters of Ginnie Springs welcomed divers preparing for their underwater journeys. Among them was Shannon, a determined young woman ready to explore the depths with rented equipment and tanks filled with 32% nitrox. Her presence added a layer of anticipation to the familiar routines of the dive site. At the registration desk, Shannon's path intertwined with that of a dive instructor and a student, both engaged in a basic cave course. While the circumstances of their meeting were debated, there was a significant connection. The instructor had guided Shannon through her own basic cave certification just 6 months earlier. Together, the trio embarked on the pre-dive rituals near the steps leading to the spring, a ritualistic dance of safety checks and preparations. The morning sun cast dappled reflections on the surface, a deceptive calm before the plunge into the mysterious Devil's Ear. This underwater opening, plunging straight down before sloping gently towards the cave's main line, beckoned them into its depths. The descent was deliberate, each breath mingling with the anticipation of what lay below. At approximately 18 feet deep, depending on the river's current, the solitary log rested horizontally, a humble landmark known among divers as the Decalogue. It marked a pause in their journey, a place where divers caught their breath and balanced amidst the quiet rush of water. For Sharon, this dive held the promise of exploration and skillful navigation, a continuation of her burgeoning passion for underwater adventure. Yet, beneath the surface, unseen currents of fate were at play, weaving a narrative of interconnected lives bound by a love for the depths and the inherent risks they entailed. As they ventured deeper, the waters held secrets and stories, reflecting the intertwined destinies of those who sought to unravel their mysteries. Shannon's presence among seasoned divers underscored her courage and determination, blending seamlessly into the tapestry of Ginnie Springs' timeless allure and the realities of its underwater realm. The dive at Ginnie Springs unfolded with a sense of routine that masked the impending tragedy. The student led the way into the submerged labyrinth, eager to navigate the familiar passages under the watchful guidance of the instructor trailing behind. Shannon followed closely, her presence a testament to her adventurous spirit and love for the underwater world. As they ventured towards the main line of the cave, a flashing light disrupted the steady rhythm of their descent. The student turned to see Shannon signaling trouble with her ear, a common challenge in the depths where pressure can play tricks on the senses. Recognizing the urgency, the student paused near the chimney while the instructor, seasoned and alert, guided Shannon into the more confined space. In the murky depths of the chimney, amidst the silent dance of bubbles, the instructor monitored Shannon's movements with practiced vigilance. His dive computer captured the descent to the base, where Shannon reached the Decalogue, a familiar resting spot for divers catching their breath. While she was working on her suit, she granted permission for the instructor and the student to continue their dive. But little did they know that them leaving would lead to the death of Shannon. When they resurfaced, they were met with alarming news. Shannon had been discovered unresponsive and was rushed to the hospital. Despite efforts to save her, Shannon passed away after several days. Amidst the investigations and statements, a detail emerged from Shannon's car, an inventory of prescription medications, a testament to her battle against inner ear infections. Despite the efforts of medical professionals, Shannon's condition deteriorated, casting a shadow over the hopes and prayers of those who had glimpsed her spirit in the depths. Finally, on January 21st, 2021, the wife of a victim who had died at Ginnie Springs called Ginnie's personnel with a worried heart. She hadn't heard from her husband since the day before, believing he was diving in the caves there. An employee rushed to the Devil's Eye parking area where the victim's truck sat. Inside, a pass to Ginnie Springs, dated January 20th, 2021, showed he planned to dive with a closed-circuit rebreather and a diver propulsion vehicle, indicating his advanced diving skills. Realizing he'd been underwater for more than 24 hours, the International Underwater Cave Rescue and Recovery Team and the Gilchrist County Sheriff's Office were alerted. They interviewed a friend of the victim, also a fellow cave diver who'd spoken to him just before the dive. They had chatted for 45 minutes about the cave system the victim was exploring. According to the friend, the victim entered the water around noon on January 20th, and that was the last time he saw him. However, he had made the same mistake almost every diver makes. The victim had gone diving alone. So what exactly happened? The medical examiner concluded the victim's death was due to accidental drowning. Analysis of the dive computer revealed that no oxygen was added to his rebreather after 85 minutes into the dive. By 110 minutes, the oxygen level in the rebreather dropped to zero. It was found that an inline slider shutoff valve on the oxygen feed, located on the victim's chest, had been inadvertently closed around the 85-minute mark. This likely happened as he navigated a narrow part of the cave known as the rock-on-rock restriction. As a result, the victim continued breathing from the rebreather's diminishing oxygen supply until it became insufficient to sustain consciousness. As observed by rescue divers, the victim's gear was intact and well-maintained. His mask was secure without water inside. Both dilutant and bailout cylinders were full and attached in a side mount setup, and regulator hoses were neatly stowed. A 2-liter oxygen cylinder mounted on his back had over 2,500 psi as indicated by his Perdix AI computer. The victim primarily used the KISS Sidewinder CCR for breathing. Several days later, 3 additional stage cylinders and an extra DPV belonging to the victim were recovered along the path from the entrance to where he was last seen. All equipment was handed over to the GCSO for potential evidence. Gas samples were taken from the victim's 2 bailout cylinders and his oxygen cylinder. On January 21, 2021, the first dive team from IUCRR entered the Devil's Eye cave system at 10 a.m., planning to penetrate 4,600 feet. During their dive, they discovered a DPV and a stage cylinder belonging to the victim secured to the main guideline at 3,000 feet into the cave. The second dive team later encountered the victim at 5,800 feet. His helmet light was lit and he was positioned facing into the cave at a depth of 135 feet. The victim appeared to be in a normal swimming posture, but was slightly negatively buoyant and positioned just left of the guideline. Below him, a gap reel indicated that he was attempting to connect 2 lines when he lost consciousness. The victim was equipped with a KISS Sidewinder CCR and had 2 open-circuit scuba cylinders and side mount configuration for diluent and bailout gases. His dive computer indicated his CCR oxygen cylinder contained approximately 2,500 psi of oxygen. Investigators noted the slider shutoff valve on his oxygen feed was closed, halting oxygen addition to the system. The victim's dive computer, connected to monitor his oxygen levels, registered all 3 sensors at 0. By this point, the victim had been underwater for approximately 30 hours. The divers documented the scene thoroughly with video and written notes, and then completed their dive as planned. They marked the route with line markers for subsequent recovery teams to follow. If you were faced with exploring a deep underwater cave, would you trust high-tech gear or rely only on traditional methods? Let me know in the comments section down below what your thoughts are. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.